Okay, yeah, but for brain injuries, um, like I was reviewing a few things about it, and one of the first things is there's different steroids that can help, and everyone thinks steroids like you're thinking testosterone or whatever, like
Hmm.
lethal injectable, but progesterone and pregnenolone are like two of the most important hormones post concussion. Like progesterone is something I use. It's a precursor to a lot of the other hormones. It's extremely important actually for females in pregnancy, but it helps prevent brain edema, brain swelling after
Hmm.
concussions. So I don't even think that's some, I don't know if organizations even look for this. Not that I don't prescribe it to people, but like 100 to 200 milligrams I've seen people use that protect as like a protective moderate um, kind of anesthetic dose for acute head trauma. And then pregnenolone that helps stabilize the frontal lobe nerves. So that helps also basically kind of these parts of the brain that are getting impacted,
Hmm.
which is pretty interesting. And then what I was saying about metabolism is thyroid T3. That's the ultimate conductor of protein synthesis. It's needed to, maintain energy levels, and those are needed to regenerate the brain and the neurons and to create neurogenesis. So, and they also remove the cellular debris that are kind of what's happening when you have injured neurons. There's kind of debris and it has to pull it out. And if you don't have
Hmm.
enough T3 and glucose, your brain can actually clear it out. And then I was writing up like B1 thiamine, B3 niacinamide are really helpful. And then CO2, that increases brain blood perfusion, prevents the formation of lactic acid actually in your brain. So a lot of
Okay.
times people can do like inhaling CO2 or bag breathing with a
Hmm.
paper bag. Um, that's a really good one. And then the PUFAs are really big too. So if you have a brain injury, um, having high PUFAs, high iron, high phosphate, that's why a lot of times like in your diet we have a lot of calcium, is because it offsets the iron and the phosphate, which can cause brain toxicity and other things. So um, and then one other one was TBIs or brain injuries can cause gut berry dysfunction. So this is something interesting too. So like endotoxin, this is called the lipopolysaccharides. These are basically toxins that leak out of your intestine, and the brain and the intestine are really connected. So like a leaky gut would allow endotoxin to then enter the bloodstream from the intestine. Then it travels to the brain, exacerbates post traumatic inflammation through the TL4 receptor. So that's where you can use like the raw carrot or the mushroom or
Hmm.
different things which kind of bind to those toxins. So weirdly enough, brain can
Yeah.
also affect gut too. But either way, so um, but we're chatting, Nolan. We've been working together, but since the start of the new year, and we got ready
Yeah.
for a pro
January.
day. Yeah, and
Hmm.
it's been fun process. Um, how was it transitioning, I guess, from eating kind of you guys were eating good food at Kansas to then kind of
Hmm.
going on a little bit different approach, high carb and such. We've been doing that before pro day.
Yeah. I mean, I've had like several, I guess, nutrition journeys like throughout my career. But like it never like when it really got elevated, it was I think 2 years ago in the spring. Ground beef and rice. We talked about that. Like you just pound the same stuff over and over again just because you know that the carbs and the macros are there. Um, but I hated doing it. It sucked. It's not fun to eat that same thing every day. It's my girlfriend calls it boy kibble, like dog food, and I call it dog food myself, but
Yeah.
in like a more endearing way to myself. Like, oh yeah, I'm a dog, and this is my food. um, but yeah, when we got the meal room at Kansas, we had a much better quality food as opposed to the we would cater everything. So we'd cater in from Hy-Vee grocery store,
Yeah.
and they'd bring, eggs, sausage, hash browns, and
Mhm.
all that stuff. Stuff that gets, fits the macros and fits the calories, but it's not really doing much for you performance wise. And then when our chef came in, we really kind of flipped it. We were getting all good food. When he came in, he said that it was all locally sourced. We never really got a. Was it? Maybe I don't know. It all tasted very good though, and it
Yes.
definitely wasn't like low quality food by any means. It was always
Yeah.
pretty good. But we didn't know what the the calories or any macro that was in it. We knew obviously some allergens. They would put that on there for the guys who were potentially celiac or just adverse to other types of food. But we didn't have much information besides that. And yeah, when I hit you up because we played together, and I'd seen a lot of other guys who I played with or just know that had positive things to say. I was like, let's do this and let's really lock in before pro day. Um, yeah, taking a more, I guess, holistic approach. It's good. Coach Leipold word. That's his favorite. Holistic. Um, to the nutrition, and just besides doing it for performance, but doing it for life, and just how I felt outside of the 2 hours that I would train in during the day. I felt like that helped a lot, and really not only aided my performance, but aided just the way that I thought about food in general.
Yeah, I feel like it was and I did a poor intro, but Nolan played football at Kansas the past few years
Hmm.
and had a very good career and then just killed it at pro day and in the process of the pre NFL process of all that stuff. But I thought one of the cool things was like food wise, I feel like you were able to enjoy it and still
Hmm.
right like few things. I guess like not eating the the kibble was uh
Hmm.
was different. But then also I feel like initially too was like digestion was a big thing that
Hmm.
I remember I pulled up like the intake information, like the notes that I had. And that was one of like the things you wanted to improve on, which I feel like we kind of addressed pretty early on. Um,
Hmm.
walk me through how that felt and just like training and not you ate a lot of food, but you're not, I don't know, feel like you got a log in your stomach, I guess, hopefully.
Yeah, like I think you mentioned that early on. That was like you want to feel like a furnace, like you just want to feel like you're shoveling coal in and it's going and it's using energy right now. And that's the way I felt pretty much from like the second week on, like when you're really burning things efficiently, and you can feel the what you ate working for you. I always kind of felt that way during practice too. When I knew I was low on carbs, I would always know if I'm low on carbs during a workout because you start to get that sluggish feeling.
Yeah.
Um, and you could hit an applesauce, or we would always have like Rice Krispie treats. I know it's not like a
Those taste good.
I
Those
would
taste good.
I would never think about it now, but it would all. I mean, it works. It's one of those things that definitely works high in carbs and gets you going. But yeah, like feeling everything work for you was such a much better feeling. And then also just outside of working out, like it was never an issue um, with digestion or anything like that. After that first week, when everything gets all cleared out, and then you're burning all 91 octane from there.
Yes, sir. Um, how was it having like probably for first time, I guess like a mega in-depth structure on every single meal, exactly what to have or what to sub in? Like how was, I don't know. We communicated a lot on making little
Mhm.
tweaks here and there.
Yeah.
Um, did you find that to be, I guess, helpful to not have to stress about food, hopefully, when you're prepping for pro day?
Yeah, because I think a lot of it was not having to think and not having to change. Like it's since it is so structured, it was never like I would see something and or like I'd think about some like I used to do that all the time. I'd think about some food that I like. I want to have a I don't know, quesadilla or something like that. So all right, let's figure out the healthiest way I can make this. Let's you know cottage cheese. Let's Greek yogurt for sour cream instead,
Yeah.
stuff like that. And like it's good, but it's not like it's not the same.
Doesn't scratch
And
the itch, man. It's not a real
no, it
quesadilla.
doesn't. It doesn't. And not to say that not to diss you and to say that chicken and rice and steak and potatoes doesn't scratch that itch, but I never felt like I had to. Like the eating the higher quality food never like caused me to want to scratch that itch.
Yeah.
Like
Well, I think the nuance behind that, right, is like, yeah, like I'm looking at your diet like on a medium day. So, right, we did a carb
mhm,
cycling approach for the most part. Initially, I think we did training, non-training to kind of get
mhm,
used to just calorie cycling and then introducing a full carb cycling. So, I think a way to kind of get around that, because sometimes people are like, I'm eating whatever for you, like you're eating sirloin or strip, sweet potato, coconut oil, mushrooms, Parmesan cheese, kiwi for dinner, as an example.
Hmm.
Um, but how you get around that, right? You were making your own ice cream and having
Hmm.
ice cream each night. So that helps with cravings. And then
Yep.
also having a shit ton of juice and fruit and honey and maple
Hmm.
syrup. It's like these are clean foods, but you're still getting in a lot of that sweet craving, which
Hmm.
I think helps kind of circumvent, which normally us big guys or everyone wants to eat good tasting food. So when you're eating
Hmm.
good tasting food and you feel good, it's like, okay, I'll keep doing this. I guess this kind of works, which is the goal.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I mean, you have this that same like reward system in your brain, and for me, it's like, oh, I make a good meal. It's like I want to continue to do that,
Yeah.
whether that's me making a really good steak, like they want to keep doing that, or like I love making pizza too. So I make really good pizza. I'm motivated to continue making it, and I think that's something that helped the fatigue of cooking. Was kind of having that built-in, I guess, reward system. Is that like, I know that I'm gonna cook this and it's gonna be good. It's not like I'm gonna cook this and it's gonna be shitty because it's shitty food. Like you make a frozen pizza and it might be shitty. You just don't know if it's a
Yeah.
new one. Obviously, if you have your tried and true, you're gonna know that it's good. But like if you're trying out things and you're eating different things, like you don't know if it's gonna be good and you don't know if it's gonna really like satiate you, not only to your stomach, but also like to your brain, and that way of thinking about the food is like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's the philosophy of having. That's why we want to have a lot of carbs throughout the day and more meals,
Hmm.
is because we're keeping leptin, which is the hunger hormone, high, by having a lot of carbs, by having food, what are it, 5 to 7 meals typically throughout the day, and then you're keeping, ghrelin is the main. That's kind of the thing that a lot of these GLPs and different things want to attack is that hunger, and that's the ghrelin. That's the hunger hormone. So
Hmm.
that's kind of the philosophy was getting around it is eat very often so that hunger doesn't build up. Because if you wait 6 hours, then hell yeah, you're gonna be hungry. You're not gonna feel like cooking for 20 minutes. You'd rather just get pizza or whatever.
Hmm.
So having that ready, I think, is huge. And then I think what was cool too, speaking of the food and the positive reward, is like we would talk I don't know, like every other week, and you'd be like, yeah, the guys think I'm looking faster, I'm moving better. And like that was,
Hmm.
I feel like that always, I don't know, builds in with the food as well. So
Hmm.
because when
Yeah,
you got, oh, go ahead.
that mental aspect of knowing that you're getting better, or that you're looking better. Not my case, but like you're losing weight. Like
Yeah.
that's a motivating factor to keep doing what you're doing. Like if I was lucky that I was training with one of our strength coaches and another guy that I played with for 2 years, Deshaun. But like having that support system was very helpful. And like I also attribute that to you with the support system on the other side that is more just life wise, like being there to support the diet, and just like how I feel mentally, like that was very important to me as well.
Yeah, it was fun. I don't feel like I talk about that often, but it's there's more to this than just talking about food and X's and O's, but
Hmm.
it's like, it's actually, it's there's deeper meanings behind what we do. So I think understanding that and tapping into that is especially as athletes, it's having a
Hmm.
really deep why, I think is crucial for anybody really chasing a big goal. So
Hmm.
um aside from that, 33-inch arms, 10-inch hands, 311, right? 23 reps on the bench, 29-inch
Hmm.
vert, 810 broad, 5 240, 475, 510 7 8 L drill. Like that's freaking big time. Um,
Hmm.
I guess other stuff we talk about, I like when we have conversations about supplements too, because you always got interesting questions about
Oh yeah.
what we see in the supplement field. And we didn't
Uh-huh.
really I don't know. We didn't have really besides collagen. There's not a lot of supplementation we're doing here, because you get everything basically through food. But
Hmm.
either way, no, this was fun, man. I appreciate you, and I don't know anything else to cap it off. I guess what would you say to athletes thinking about taking nutrition more seriously or stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, it's always funny that every year around this time, I guess would have been a couple weeks ago, but all the strength coaches would tell us like about, one guy who was going through pro day training would talk about, dang coach, I don't know why I didn't do this for 4 years. Like I don't
Yeah,
know why I didn't like,
plants.
take nutrition seriously. Um, yeah, it does sound like him. But it would always be Sleeve that would tell us
Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
something like that. But Leifold would say that too. That's funny. Um, and then like I would always think like I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be the guy who's saying, "Man, I wish I would have done it, a different way when I played." And I don't regret the way that I
No.
performed nutritionally throughout my career, but I think that yeah, there's definitely a better way I could have done it. And I think that to work with you in the way that you do would have been helpful in my career, not just, from a football performance standpoint, but also just, helping the mental battle with nutrition that I think a lot of guys tend to face um, in college because it's hard. everybody, everybody knows how difficult college football is if you've gone through it. Like, and to have so many facets of your life that you can control and you'd rather not, and the ones that you can't control and you wish that you could, like to be able to have someone else take the control of the nutrition and you just kind of do it, like that would have put a lot of mental load off of me um, in order to focus on things like football and school, just life in general too.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on. It's
Hmm.
it's a college football player, man. You're a busy person. It's it's like you're
Hmm.
it only seems like it's getting more and more of that case. So no, that's great advice. And I think I mean when I first met you at Buffalo, you were already locked in the weight room doing extra work and eating good stuff. So
Hmm.
like all things, I think the more you learn, I feel this way. The more I learn, the more I realize I don't know. It's like
Hmm.
there's always more things to learn, whether it's
Yep.
strength conditioning or, different academically, philosophy. There's always more. So I think that's cool and kudos to you for, I don't know, reaching out and looking to learn more. And I got to learn from you as well. And I think that's the cool part of the relationship we've had. So I
Hmm. Of
appreciate that.
course.
Yes, sir. And you got any questions? Any you always got interesting questions to stump me. Any other questions before you finish up?
Dude, I don't know. You're a fountain of wisdom. Um, and there
Oh,
hasn't really been a question that you haven't been able to answer, or at least one that you haven't had the um,
research it sometimes.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But you're also, you're gonna get back to me on the stuff that I haven't that you don't know. But and like you said, like the more you learn, the more you don't know. Um, yeah, you're always pretty prompt at that. But I don't have anything right now.
You're good. Well, I
Yeah.
appreciate it. We'll sign off. Thank you, sir.